Let's get started on this trailer build. Alright, don't mind the fan in the background because it's a little chilly in here and I need to stay warm. So, what are we working on today? We're going to put these guys on because these look different than the ones I originally designed. So, we will install these new axles. Now, what's happening here? What did I do different? Well, my original axles had a bit of a different design. It was a solid axle top piece and a solid bottom like you see here. Let me put this in the middle. Alright, so the original design was one half and then the other half. Well, it was really hard to get these guys on there because of the way these are designed. And how are they designed? Well, essentially it's a 4x10x4 bearing. And there's two of them, and then there's a washer, right? And this is an M4 by 50 screw, and it screws right into the back of the wheel, okay? And so when we put this together, just clean that off, you're gonna put this so that it screws down just enough so that this inside bearing is against the wheel and the outside bearing is on the outside. Why is that important? Well, because when we're gonna fit this in here, see there's these two notches. One is where the inside bearing goes and the other one is where the outside bearing goes. So you'll place that, okay, like this, slide that in and put that like that. You should be able to spin the wheel freely. It should not wiggle, okay? I have my finger only on the bearing here on the back. And so what I've done instead was create an inside and outside housing to hold it. So this one's a R1 and this is a R2. So I need to find the R2, R2, R2. So this slides in. Now important, see this piece here? This goes against the outside bearing. So you'll slide this in, make sure it fits over, and it should look something like that. Okay, so the bearing's exposed, but this is flush. If you rub your fingers, it should feel like it's one full piece. This is flush, and now we'll put our M3 by 12s, and you'll screw these down. Now, what does this do? It holds the outside bearing down, but it's not holding the inside bearing. So how are we going to hold the inside bearing? Well, this is why it makes it simple to install, because we have a cover that goes over this. And this cover goes over the bearing and it slides on, okay? And once you slide this on, I have to do it underneath because I already have these axle arms on. But now you put this over, and these are M3 by 12s as well. Or M3 by 12s. And you'll screw these down. Now what does this do? Well, it holds down the other bearing. So both bearings are being secured, okay, and this will be cinched down, and essentially now the wheel will move, and because it's screwed into here, the plastic is tight against the screw, and if you want extra, there's a hole on the side here that you'll put a grub screw in and you can tighten it that way, or you could put a drop of crazy glue, or if you want, put in some Loctite on the threads to lock that in if you're never going to take them off. Mine, it's tight enough that it's going to go, and the screw is always spinning, so the bearings are there for that. These guys here, these are M3 by something. Should tell you the measurements. So these are M3 by 12s as well. Imagine that, eh? On the bottom. On the top, they're M3 by 10s. Alright, because the screw has to go in flush inside here. And that's how you're going to have those, I believe. Or M3 by 8s. Could be M3 by 8s. M3 by 8 or M3 by 12. Just make sure it doesn't come out and block the way. But I think these are probably M3 by 8s, to be honest. So there you go. That's how you're going to assemble that piece, the tops and the bottoms. So these are the tops when it looks like this, okay? Because if you want to eventually take something off, you just have to unscrew the bottom, take everything off, so you don't have to take the whole axle out to remove a tire, okay? Because heaven forbid you get a flat tire with these RC grade things. I'm kidding, it's a joke, there's no air in these tires. So there you go, these are your Lego tires. Paint them up, or if you want, print them in white, and then that's all you need to do. Install them after. And these are M4 by, let's see while we're here, M4 by 16s, M4 by 16, so, yep, these ones here. And then these guys here are M3 by, I'm going to say 16s or 12s, M3 by 16 and 3 by 12s, these bottom guys. Okay, and these go like this. And there you go. The rest is self-explanatory. Fronts, rears, left, right. It's all signified here. Each one has the information points out, away from the axles, okay? None of the written stuff on here should be facing inside. It should all be facing outside, okay? See how all this info points that way? This one, right? It's all pointing out. Okay, this is the top, so no screw heads on this side. Okay, this is the flush side. See, the screw should be flush once it's installed. All right, no protrusions, because the gap between here and the wall of the wall of these frames here, okay, it's pretty close. So if you have the screw head sticking out, it'll hit and your axles won't move. So when you go put this on, put this in, tighten it just enough so that it moves and it's not binding up at all. There you go. Moving on to the brackets that go on to support the axle. This is the left, okay? And the way we're gonna have this is we're gonna have this pointing out so we can see. Now, I have this upside down, but this is the front, and this is the left side, so this will go on here. Now, to show you exactly what's happening is this particular design has a notch in here to receive this piece, and it fits right in there. Now, to fasten everything, you're going to do it from the bottom. So you'll go like this, and of course I'll cover the light. But essentially we'll start driving it in like this, and you'll get it seated. And this will drive, these are M3 by 8s. So these are going to, where are you? There you go. M3 by 8s. And there's 4 of them. This middle one here, that's the M4 that goes to hold the whole axle. And then the other 2 pieces of the axle screw into this piece here, those bottom brackets. These 2 guys here, right down there, those 2, those pivot arms go here, and then that allows it to pivot. Okay, so let me get these started and then we'll show you the rest. I got the first one started, and we'll put in the next one here. Now these are going to secure this, and trust me, this is pretty solid. I thought it was going to be a little bit more flimsy, but you know what? Sometimes you make good decisions. There you go. That one's on nice and tight. So this is essentially going to hold on here. This is thick enough. This is about 4 or 5 millimeters thick. And I've already put on some really heavy weights on here. Now, I haven't finished doing this piece here, but we're going to put in more screws to secure this, and then we have a bracket that goes here to hold this closed, because when you put weight down, this wants to spread out. So this bottom piece wants to go out that way, and this one wants to go out this way. So when we put the, right where my thumb is, right here, there's a bracket that'll hold this together and closed, and it won't want to split open, just like we did back here. Like this one, that one's already on there. This sucker doesn't move, it's tight. So we just got to add more screws, and we'll do the mud guards. The mud guards are either 3D printed in TPU, or you can get some rubberized and cut your own shape and do that kind of stuff. So let's finish getting this on. Left side goes here, right side goes there. All right, we're going to be attaching the axle now to the trailer. It's hard to see here, but you'll find the M4 hole, and then you're going to start putting in this screw. So this screw, just so you know what the measurements are, it is a M4 by 16. And so you're going to put an M4 16 by 16 in here, screw it in, just enough that it can still pivot. And then there we go. Now we'll get these guys on here so that they're in their position, but we'll put the other M4 by 16 on the other side. So let's do that. Moving along, we will now be installing these 4 screws that hold these bottom arms on, and they're M3 by 12s. We'll tighten them just down. Actually, you know what? That'll do. If you really want to make sure they're super secure or stronger than this, you can do an M3 by 16 and then put a nut on the locking nut on the back so this doesn't back out, but I think this will be all right. Again, tighten it just enough so that it can move freely, but not so free that it's just going to wobble around in there. And this will finish off the assembly of the axles. And what you'll see is when it does tilt, it'll never come above the base, the boards. So the tire will never touch the boards at any point because the axle will hit here first. So that's a kind of like a limit switch dealio. And then you'll do the other side, and then we'll wrap this project up. And if you're looking for like chains and binders, I'll put some links for that in the description as well, so you can go and make your own. I do have like hooks that I've designed myself that I use for my own purposes, and I'll show you those here in a second. Just gonna get this last guy tightened up. There we go. And now the trailer is complete with the axles on there. Now the chains that I'm talking about and the hooks. So I created this little hook, and it's probably hard to tell. Now this hook will go over the D-rings. I have D-rings here, and it'll hold on pretty secure. I mean, these are not designed to put like 100 pounds under test, but these may be. So these are the hooks that go on the chain. So if you have a chain and you want to slide it on, it hooks on there, so it won't move. The chain won't go back or forth because it slides right into the thickness of that chain. Okay, and then you have your binder here that spin it one way, it expands, spin it the other way, and it contracts. And there you go. So I'll give you a link to this part here. This is from, I can't remember the name of the company, Dubro, and it's a DU 400 or 300, something like that. It only comes with this part. You have to create your own hook and chain assembly here. There you go. All right, let's get building. Now, this is a different view than I normally would have, so I forgot to kind of record the attaching of the front neck to the deck, but for the purposes of this video, let's do it through here. So now there's a few parts that you're going to need to assemble. Number one, this front piece here, there's 4 screws, and these are going to be M2 by at minimum 10, So M2 by 10, M2 by 12. You have 3 positions that you can assign to it. So you can have it on the bottom here, or you can move it up to the middle, or you can move it to the top. All right, so that's what the front hitch or hook piece looks like. Now, as we move along, you'll have this lid, and this lid is going to have a M2 by 20, right, from here to here. So let's just measure from here to here, M2 by 20. Okay, so that one on this side and then one over here. All right, now for these legs, you have this lid, so these 2 lids will be glued on. Okay, so you want to glue those lids on, and then the legs, which are right here, these slide up and down. Now let's go and attach them to the back here. So there's 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5 holes. Okay, what we're going to use is an M2 by 10. Okay, so each one 5 of the M2 by 10s on this side and 5 of the M2 by 10s on the opposite side. Next, we're going to look at attaching this bottom plate here onto the leg. Okay, so this is a landing gear leg left and landing gear leg right. This piece here is called the foot pad. So we're going to do a foot pad, and it's going to be an M2 by 16, and you're going to thread it through. For these parts here which hold the leg in place, you're going to use an M2 by 8. All right, and that's 1 for each side. And then next we will attach the front section. Okay, so with the front section, you're going to get the deck here, and you're going to add this front deck. So there's 1, 2, 3, 4, and 4 screws. Before you even put these in, you're going to need to put in the actual piece here, the step, and that step is on the opposite side. So I'll show you. Here we are. Okay, so you're going to attach the step here. Now these are going to be M2 by 10s, M2 by 12s. Actually, you know what? M2 by 12 or M2 by 16 is what you'll want to use. And the reason we say that is from here to here is about 16 mils. So M2 by 16 or M2 by 12. Okay, for the top ones, probably M2 by 12. M2 by 12 for over here. It's more than enough. And then for the one with the ramp or this step, you'll do it with the M2 by 16s. Over here, you're going to have similar situation where you're going to try to put these in. These are M2 by 14, so you can do an M2 by 16 in this scenario here. And the way you'll attach them is from the outside in. So you can go put them right through here. There's enough space that you can fit your screwdriver. This top one here is going to be an M3 by 16. All right. Now to hook this on, what you'll want to do is, let's just remove the neck for a second. You'll see that there's this notch. Been doing it all to the right the whole time. Okay. So to connect this to the neck, there's this notch, and that'll fall right in place with the neck itself. So if we do this, you'll notice there's a bit of a notch right here. Okay, so you just stick it in there, and then it should slide in, and there's just enough tolerance to slide in. If not, sand the sides a little bit. All right, so that's going to be all the screws you're going to need to attach the front flat deck. Okay, so the front flat deck is now connected, and then the next piece you'll want to connect to that is the middle deck. So to connect the front deck to the middle deck, you're going to use some M3 by 10s, and you're going to use a nut on the back. I would suggest maybe not doing this one right here. It's really tight, and so I figured you can put the screw through, but to put the nut on, it won't fit. But here you can put the nut on each one of these. these ones here as well, so only 8 of them. And then from once you have the middle deck connected to the front deck with all the screws, you're gonna have to put in this brace, and that's the brace right there. Okay, this brace will take an M3 by 8. All right, so M3 by 8, 4 of them. And notice the little ramp here, so that gives you enough clearance to get to this hole. And that's just so you can put the screw head in. And you can do it either through the screw head through the back or screw head through this side. I would suggest putting the screw head through the front and then the nut back here. So once you've got all that done, you'll watch the rest of the video for how to attach the axle to the front here. Another thing that keep in mind is that you're going to need to put some M3 by 6 screws here, and this is going to be a pretty tight scenario. So what you'll do is you'll push through from this side and then put a nut on the back here. All right, and that's going to give you enough clearance so that way even the tires won't touch. But that's for the mud guards. Okay. Now moving on to the back, we have more holes. Again, there's 10 holes here. This is going to all get attached with different length screws, because when we connect it to the back section here, you're going to put the screw from this side and the nut on this side, and these are going to be M2 by 16s. And you want to have enough length here, so M2 by 16s. And then down here for the bracket on this side, a bracket on the other side, and these are going to have M3 by 10s or even M3 by 8s are going to be fine. Actually, M3 by 8 will be fine, and it'll go in there. If you want to have nuts on the other side, then go M3 by 10s. This has got a specific way of doing it, so you'll see that there's this notch that comes down and then goes here in a diagonal, so just make sure you put it on the correct way. And then lastly, you can watch the video for how to attach the ramps and to do the boards. The D-rings, you just have to unclip them and then slide one part of the hook over, and then the other one they'll open up because they're plastic, and then they'll get back into position. But notice the orientation. Okay, it's got a little bit of a curve, right? So the curve goes up. So when it's resting here, it's actually pointing out and not pointing in. Now, if you're going to be adding lights, these are for M3s or a 3mm opening. So 3mm LEDs. They can run in behind. There's holes here to run the wiring through, and then up and into the trailer itself. And that's the assembly there. Any questions, please let me know. Hey, working on these ramps, I wanted to show, when we go to print stuff, there's a lot of filament here that's not been dried properly, so it leaves all these little, looks like spider webs. You can burn them all off, just like you do with real spider webs. Actually, they can be more flammable. But in any case, the type of supports I use are tree supports, and I use them in specific areas. Under this lip here, I've got enough of an angle that I don't need to have supports, so I leave it as it is. Certain areas like these holes, I never put supports in them because they're round and they'll fill themselves in properly, and we won't have issues with printing. Everywhere else, even these kind of gaps here, they're hidden, but I didn't put any supports. That would take up a lot of supports just to hold this up and make it perfect. And this is underneath, and I don't really care too much how it works. But there's enough here that as the filament goes back and forth, it should turn out pretty nice. Now, to remove these, just get yourself some of these snippers and just start peeling them off. And they'll come off pretty easily if you print this properly. Shouldn't be a problem. And it all comes out. Now what you'll want to do is you'll want to sand it down slightly, or take a hot iron and do that. as well. Take a hot iron and then, you know, clean up these smooth ends. That'll give it more strength if you use a hot iron. So there you go. And when you do print this particular part, the ramps, print them flat on the ground. You should be all right. One thing I noticed here is my print didn't come out perfect. This corner here lifted, and so it's not completely flat, but that's fine. We can always use a little bit of heat to bend it down and hold it in place. There you go. It's just how some of the parts are printed. This one here was printed face down, so this part here was facing down like this, and there was just supports underneath here, but you can see how smooth this looks. Came out really, really good. And there you have it. All right, trailer is almost done. It just needs me to put these boards in here and the boards in the front. But other than that, she's done. We got the ramps. They move in and out for your wide machines and your narrow machines. So for the narrow guys, you got these little guys are a lot narrower. So we move these in so it can go up the ramps, right? But if we have something bigger, then we can do the wider and just move these over. Now these are to be used by your hand right now, but I am going to make one where you put a little servo in here and it'll just bring them up for those guys who it's too much work. To me personally, it's too much work to set up all the electronics and get that all going and tie it in. But anyways, this is how you connect them so they're held in. And then there's D-rings everywhere here. So there's a D-ring here, 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 and there. And then you'll use whatever bindings you want to use. I made my own. So these are in, they're nice and tight. And then when you're done, you put your bindings in your box. In the front here, it's attached with the pin. I don't know if you can really see it, but it's that style there. It's just a big U-shaped pin thing. And you can adjust the height on these guys. So this can go in 3 different positions. You got another box here. If you want to run hoses and stuff like that, you can run them underneath. There's a hole in the middle of the frame to drive all the way to the brake lights and the signal lights if you want to do lights and whatnot. Fake, what's it called, diamond plate. And yeah, if you need the stickers here, I got those. I printed them out in sections so you can just do them yourself. Just get vinyl sticker paper, print it. Same thing with this. You print it and you cut it to size. So this is about less than 25 millimeters tall and 100 millimeters wide. I just made it all one size. So you'll cut it into that shape. That's pretty much it. The legs for these guys, just move that down, put that in place, and it locks. Wherever that number 3 spot is. There we go. And there you go. The legs go down and up, and then they are held in this one position here. The bottom, there's 3 of these positions, and there's the bottom one for putting it away. So you bring this back up. There you go. Should lock the way. That's it. It's the trailer, guys. Simple. There's articulated travel here for the suspension of the wheels. So this will go all the way up until it just almost touches the wood, or slightly touches the wood, depending on how aggressive you are. Those are the tires. There you go. Any questions, let me know. This is going to be up on Cults 3D.